Well, I think Paul Johnson's misunderstood entirely the proposal that I made, which was about retaining a graduate contribution system, but essentially scrapping this fake loan and fees that sit around it that are, I think, damaging increasingly for young people who are from disadvantaged backgrounds from going to university. And what I was proposing would have been progressive, because we could have made sure that graduates gaining the most from a degree paid more into the system, rather than what we've seen today, which is regressive, which is going to see middle and lower income earning graduates now paying for a decade longer and starting to pay back at a lower earnings threshold. So those are regressive steps, and the proposals I wanted to see were progressive steps. I should also say that in relation to maintenance grants and reintroducing them, that is a good move, but it was a proposal made 2 years ago in 2017 to Number 10 and was rejected then, and I don't think we really needed the Auger review in order to be able to get on with it.
There's a bit of humble pie for your party to eat on that front, isn't there? I mean, it was only 4 years ago that they were introduced, and here we have the Prime Minister standing up and saying they were abolished, and the Prime Minister saying they need to be reintroduced.
Indeed, and I think what we needed for this review was a clear overriding objective of how it could drive social mobility and more opportunities for young people. If that had been clear-cut, then it would not have led to the kinds of outcomes that we've seen today. And dare I say, yet more change for students. You heard from one of them who's paying a much higher tuition fee rate, regretting the fact that people coming after her will pay less, destabilising for the higher education sector, and I should say destabilising most, I think, for the universities that tend to be more local, doing the best on driving social mobility, the ones that are perhaps smaller, don't have huge endowment income coming into them, perhaps don't have as many international students or research income coming in, but do a fantastic job on being places that often young people can go to do a degree, who may be the first person in their family to have that chance.
Mind you, the reduction in the cap on what fees can be charged was presumably intended to achieve some of the things that you're talking about.
I think so, but it's false logic because, of course, that fee cut is, again, regressive because, as things stand, the young people most likely to go to university are from better off backgrounds. And, of course, what this now means is that they effectively have been given a cut in their fees, and effectively the other part of this that I think is concerning is I'd be very surprised, actually, if Treasury does subsidise universities for the lost fee income. And that matters because actually it's the cheaper degrees and the fee income that they get that cross-subsidises all the core degrees that businesses need on science, technology, medicine, all of it. So at the moment, there is a lot of cross-subsidisation that goes along in the system that will be reduced as fee income's reduced.
Well, doesn't this give the government more control over that, though? I mean, as we've just said, it explicitly says, this report, that the government can choose which courses to make up the difference in.
Well, I think you can get that additional control, and I think you need it. And my proposal was also aimed at achieving that. But I think this is a very cack-handed way of doing it. And I think you get a sense that we've moved in the wrong direction because this system is now so complicated. Just 2 years ago, the threshold was being increased for when graduates had to start paying back. Now it's come back down. Fees have crept up. Now they're back down. There's no sense of what the long-term strategy is. What are we going to do when 7.5K fees suddenly creep back up towards 9,000? Are we going to have another Auger review that then reduces them back to 7.5? What we need is long-term substantial reform that drives social mobility. What we got was a short-term plan that very much, dare I say, rearranged deck chairs on the Titanic.
You say it's complicated. Can you very simply explain how your system would work?
Yes. What I'm saying is it should be like national insurance funding the health service. Only graduates should pay a graduate contribution, much like they do now, but it should be more progressive. So graduates who do better from university should pay more. That should go into a higher education fund. I'd like to look at how companies could also contribute to that, and that should then pay for the next generation of young people to get the same opportunities that graduates themselves have had.
Since you are with us, and we are in the middle of a Tory leadership contest, I have to ask you, I think, who you support.
Oh, I'm going to be meeting with all of the candidates. I'm not sure I'm going to be public in who I'll support ultimately, but for me, they very clearly need to set out a path forward on resolving the Brexit crisis and also how they're going to make Britain a place where we do have more opportunities for more young people. But that will play out, no doubt, over the next couple of weeks.
Justine Greening, thank you very much indeed for joining us.